Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is David from Daveden Web Dev, and on this channel I like to talk about all things WordPress, especially about accessibility and dynamic data. If you can see me, you can hear me, please let me know in the comments so that I know everything is working and we can continue from there. So let me just check it. Okay. Let me press OK. So if you all can see me, if you all can hear me, let me know in the comments and we'll proceed. So yeah, today's live stream is going to be about Builderius. So I'm just going to be exploring Builderius to see like what are the things that they have. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. All right. Thank you for confirming that you can see me. And yeah, if you have any questions, please just let me know in the comments so that we can explore Builderius together, because I'm just going to be walking you through the process of how you would generally start with Builderius. So if you have any questions while I'm going through it, let me know in the comments. And without further ado, let me just switch over my screen and we'll start. So let me switch over. Yeah. So today we're just going to be looking at Builderius and we're just going to see what it offers. So first I'll go to the plugins area and let me update. So for today's video, all of these plugins are not needed. I just installed them on the demo site, but mainly what we need is Builderius. The way Builderius works is that it replaces your theme wherever you use Builderius. So imagine you have your template. It can be your home page. It can be with any theme at all. Any theme that is installed, it doesn't matter. Once you use Builderius, it will overwrite that theme or that whatever is on that page, to overwrite it and then replace it with its own content. So that's what you have to remember. When you're using Builderius, Builderius will overwrite any content that is on a page. So it works with any theme. It will not overwrite any other page, just the page that you've set it to overwrite, so that it can work hand in hand with any other like page builder of your choice. I've not tested it out with most page builders, but I think with block editors it works well. So it will not conflict as long as you don't use the Builderius on the pages you don't need to use the Builderius. So just use it on the pages you want, and then you can slowly start rebuilding your site from, maybe you're trying to move from Elementor, you're trying to move from Divi or Breakdance or anything. So you can install both of them. Then slowly you start overwriting your templates and then moving it over into Builderius. So that is one beautiful thing about Builderius. So now let me switch back to my screen and we can continue. So we have Builderius installed, and once you've installed Builderius, the first thing you need to do is you head over to the Builderius option there. I believe some people are saying that they would prefer to see like an onboarding screen, sort of how Elementor does. When you install Elementor, it takes you through an onboarding process. That's what some people say they want. But in this case, you just go to Builderius and then Home. And it gives you, it's kind of like an onboarding process. So it gives you everything you need here, explains everything. Hello, Jimmy. Thanks for joining in. Hello, Elvis. Thank you for joining in. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you have any advice while I'm working, because I might make a lot of mistakes. So if you have any advice, let me know in the comments as well. I'll be reading the comments. Okay, so now when you are in Builderius, there are two options for you. You have the option to either go with the standard settings or you choose your minimal settings. I'll be showing you minimal settings in today's video, but let me just give you an understanding so you understand what everything is all about. So with the builder settings, it comes with pre-built templates. So it will create your entire website template, your front page set templates. You create your components like your header, your footer, and other things, and then to add its own CSS framework and CSS selectors. So everything will be already pre-built for you. So you can just start from, instead of starting from scratch, you start from a kind of minimal logic whereby they've already created your header, your footer, your single post template, your front page template, and everything, and you could just start from there. If you choose the minimal settings, it's, as the name suggests, it's minimal. So literally nothing. So you have no templates, you have no CSS framework, you have nothing. So even your CSS resets, I know some of us, we know about those resets where you have to reset the body to add maybe border, the box sizing, border box, and all of those things. They will not be there. So it is relying on you as the developer to add all of those CSS. So you have to add your box sizing, you add your default padding, the default margin for each of all of those, like your sections, your H1, your H2, everything is going to be a blank slate. No template, no CSS framework, nothing. The only thing that will come is just a little bit of JavaScript will be in there. So you need to go there. Yeah. Hello. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, exactly. So, like Elvis says, that the best option to start with is to use the option A, because that is the easiest one to go with. Because the other one is going to be a bit. So start with the standard settings. Is the easiest one to start with. But let me even just go ahead and show you the settings. So we'll start with the standard one, just so that everybody can see what goes on. So I'll click on standard settings. It will explain some things to you. So before you go through any of this action, what you need to do is make sure you've saved a release before, so that because this is going to overwrite a lot of things. So it says this action sets up a starter framework for WordPress development, including templates for the homepage, post archives, the header and footer components, and more. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't read that well. Let's see. Hashtag A. Maybe use. Okay, so it says we should use. Yeah, you can use any hashtag. Hopefully, we'll be able to see it, and hopefully, someone in the comments will understand the question and answer the question directly. Okay, yeah, we can use that. So, I misunderstood initially. So, okay, so yeah. So, like I was saying, we have the standard settings. So I'll start with the standard settings to show you everything that is there. Then we'll move to the minimal settings and I'll show you everything that is there so you can get a comparison of both options. So we have the standard settings. It says it has the Builderius CSS framework and everything. So let me install that and I will also publish it. So immediately I publish it, it goes live. So install, and it has been installed. So now what you notice is if I come over to templates, you'd see we have all our templates. So we have all archives, we have the post, blog index, 404 not found, pages. So all of these templates are already created. That is the minimal setup. And then if we go to the front end, let me just go to this front end. You see it comes pre-built with a logo. It has the header template, it has the footer template, and then it has a main body area. It also has the skip to content. So if I use my keyboard and I Control L, tab through all of these, you see there's a skip navigation, which will then skip the navigation and go into the main content area. So that is something you need to know. Then let me go over and edit a page. So let's go and edit. This is the home page. Let me edit it. Okay, so the publish says, okay, what does publish do when we switch it on and off? So publish means that it will automatically already publish the templates for us. So if you go to the templates, if I come back to my releases, and you see, that's where you see, if you go under Builderius and then releases, you see it has been automatically published. So it creates a release called 1.0.0, it publishes it, and it adds all the templates into that, because you can see what is included. This is one nice thing I just kept here. So the way Builderius works is, whenever you create any of those releases, or any of those, you choose to start with any of those options. Let me go to the home. So when I choose to start with any of these two options, it creates a release for us so that we can basically work on it, whereas something else might be live. So with Builderius, it has that nice property that you can be building an entire website, but what will be shown on the front end is something completely different. So that what that publish does is that it immediately publishes it to the front, to the public as well, so that what is in the dev mode is already shown to the public. But you may not want that. You may want something different to be shown to the public, whereas you are editing the website. So when you're editing, it's almost like having a coming soon mode, but the coming soon is actually a live site that is working, whereas you are building an entire website in the backend. So yeah, that is the difference. So let's go back to, yeah, exactly as I explained it better. So now let me go back to where we continued from. So in Builderius, we have the home. This is where you see like your onboarding process. Once you've created either the standard settings or the minimal settings, then you move to the next portion, which is the templates. Or you can just go directly from here as well to the templates. So let's go to the templates. Because I chose the standard settings, it came with all of these templates, because these are the basic templates we need when we are building a website. Then we can now go to, let's say, the blog index, or let me just go to a page and I'll edit. And also, yes, one other thing I forgot to mention is, with the Builderius one, that's the full option, it also comes with a style guide for you to be able to quickly see what your font sizes are. So your typography, your like block quotes and everything, it will show you everything immediately in a private page called the style guide. We can now go and edit this page. Edit with Builderius. And this is the style guide, so you can easily see everything. So you can see exactly what you know. Most people like to use a style guide because that now gives you a direction of how your website is going to look like. So like your fonts, your brand colors, you start to set up everything with the Builderius settings. But this is when you're trying to use the already established Builderius settings. Then yeah, so this is everything. So it comes with so many different things. It comes with some icons, nice badges. It comes with different buttons. So you can always come to this style guide and you see how everything was built. So now that we've seen all of this, you can also check the selectors. You see that it comes with already set up selectors. Each of these selectors, you see this icon here, it shows that something has been filled into the selectors. If I go to the root, you can go ahead and see, you would see everything they added to the root. You see the body, you see, so all of these things, they have added some settings to them. You can see the sizing, they've added the height, but if you're using the minimal settings, all of these will be missing, and we'll check it out very soon. You can see, so if you want to use their own framework, which I will advise that it's good to use their framework, because that means you are following along with the developer's like idea for the builder. So you can use their framework and see how everything was set up. Then they also have CSS variables and all of this. So now let's start with a minimal setting. and I'll try to go and explain from there. So let me close this, and we'll now try with the second one. So I'll go back to the home, and this time I'll say minimal settings. So now you can read it. It says that for a truly minimal setup, this option includes no templates, no boilerplate structure, or any default styling. So everything, you have to do it on your own. Let's go ahead and install it. And you see, the starter was installed successfully. So we'll go from here again. The next section from this is the templates. So go to templates, and you see it's blank. So that's how this works. Oh, I left this on, sorry. So that's how the two of them work. So we have, with the minimal settings, the templates will be blank, the CSS variables will be blank, the selectors, everything is going to be blank. So I will just start from there. I'm not going to go in depth, but I'm just going to start from there so you can know where everything is on the builder when you're trying to build a website. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the chats. Okay, yeah, so he was explaining about how the Builderius works with the releases. So let's continue. So now we have our blank minimal setup. To save myself some trouble, I'm just going to use one of my releases, which is almost the same thing as the blank setup. But first, let me go with the blank setup to show you how everything is. So I'll come over to create template, because in a website, the first thing you need to do is create the structure before you start adding content. So you have to create the structure of where your header is going to be, where your footer is going to be, the sidebar, if you have a sidebar, if you have a navigation, you create that structure. Then you can start adding in content after that. So let me create a template for maybe my homepage. Because first, the way I like to do it normally, I would create an entire website template. Then I'll go and create a front page template. Then I'll create an archive template before I create my single post template. So everything just goes in line. But today I'll just go straight to the front page template. What just happened to my website? Let me zoom out. Don't know why it broke. It broke. This, okay. So I guess their dialogue. Let me know. I think the dialogue needs a bit of work, because if my screen is zoomed in, then the dialogue breaks. So Elvis, I don't know if you're watching or any of the team are watching. The dialogue is not using the proper JavaScript or semantics. I don't know what it's called, but basically, the background, when the dialogue is open, the background should not be scrolling again. It's only the dialogue I should be able to access. So I have to zoom out a little bit to access the save and open. Okay, so I will save and open. So this is how it comes by default. It comes with the component called site header, another component called site footer, and then the section for your main area. Because in every website, let me show you any website you go to, MDN docs, which I like to always go to. You see, there is a header section, there is the main content area, and at the bottom there is a footer. So that's the same thing with the Builderius page. So there's a site header, the main content area, the footer, but notice that it is completely blank. Everything is empty. So you may want to first create your header template, and same thing if you go into the selectors, you see only the selectors are there, but there is no, you see there's no dot symbol there. That means there is no styling on all of these selectors. They are just blank selectors with no styling. If you go to the CSS variables, it's blank because the minimal setup has nothing inside. It is completely empty, truly empty. So if you have like your core framework, your own minimal framework, or you have like ACSS, then they can be able to populate all of these with their own variables, and then you can work with their variables. So let's see. Okay, so this is the 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 blank space. But now, just to start, let me just use a bit of my own template, because my own CSS framework, just to start. So I'll go back to my releases, and this is the beauty of the whole Builderius. So I can now come back to Builderius, come to releases, and these are basically everything I've created, different different websites. So basically, each of these ones can be a completely different template, design, CSS structure, and everything. So it will explain everything that was added. So the first one has components, global settings, some pages, and some templates, all created. The other one has just the site footer and site header. It has the global settings and templates, which is just the front page. And you can just quickly see all of them. All of these ones can be completely different websites, and you can easily switch between them by simply maybe you unpublish one and then you publish the other one, and that one now becomes the active template on the front end. So let's say I already overwrote this template, so that's why it's not there. But this is my own I'm working with now. And if I go to the front end, so let's go ahead and just check this page on a private window. You see now, this is something I've already created. This is if you go live now, you would see this put up on the website. Okay. Oh yes. So yeah, I agree with that setup, because I think the header, main, and footer are always needed. So it's nice to put them in there, and maybe you can also add I don't know if that would be okay to add, because I noticed with the minimal framework, it doesn't also come with the what's it called? That skip to content, so you have to add it yourself. But yeah, I guess that is something. But yeah, coming in from this page, you see now this is what is going to be shown live to the audience. But if I now come back to my releases and I maybe unpublish this, if I unpublish everything, what happens is it goes back to being the regular from your theme or your template, the way your theme was. If I refresh now, you see it goes back to my 2025 theme. This is how the 2025 theme is. Then if I now choose a release, so let's go to this release that I have, and I come back, refresh, it goes to that release. So that is how you can quickly switch between any of these releases, or switch Builderius completely off. If you turn off all the releases, then it goes to whatever was there before without Builderius being active. The moment you publish any of these releases, then Builderius takes over and overwrites wherever it needs to overwrite. So yeah, this is my own website. So now let's continue from here, and we'll explain from here. So this is release. If I go to templates, the only thing I've created here is the front page template. Then if I open it in Builderius, I can go ahead and close every other thing. It should, okay. Let me refresh. What just happened? Oh yeah, I missed that. Thanks for the information again. So before we can start editing the templates, I missed that. I should have. Let me just start from the beginning. So the first thing you do, okay, you create. When you come into Builderius, the first thing you do is you choose whichever one you want to use. In this case, I've chosen to use minimal settings. Then you come under your templates and you create your template. But if you are coming from a release that you have already created, let me go back to my releases. So these are the releases. This option just toggles what is on the front end. So this is the toggle to show what is going to go live to the audience. But if you want to now edit this template, whichever template you want to edit, you need to come and extract it. So to extract it, you see under these actions on the right hand side of your screen, then you go under the, because this is already published to live, you see we cannot delete it because it's published to the live audience. But for other ones, you see this extract template, so you can extract the template. For all of them, you can extract it. So when I choose extract template, what that does now is it basically takes what is on that template and then it adds it, it puts it into the dev mode for us to start editing it. So I'll click on the extract templates and say I want to work on this release. You just make sure you always listen to the error that is shown there, or the information. It says that once you extract from this template, that it will replace all of the templates and global settings currently present on this website. So basically what it's doing, that what you are on your dev edition is going to replace everything with what is now in the current template. So if I now say work on this release, it will now overwrite whatever I had before and replace it with what is in the template I'm now editing. So now I can come back to my templates, my front page templates, and I'll say open in Builderius. Let me close that. Now we can get what I was editing. So this is what I was editing. I was basically trying to recreate this website. So we'll start from there, sort of. So let's start trying to recreate this website. So this is where the main option, the main part of this tutorial is. So how will we create this website? The first thing we need to do is set up our header template. So we'll come into this the component, because this, when you see a green symbol like this with this rectangular shape or this diamond shape, basically it is a component, but that the outer part of that component does not actually exist. It's just whatever is inside that component is what we can now edit. So this outer part of the component does not exist until I come in, and there are two ways to edit a component. You can either go through the menu and then you see your components. That's where you can edit them. If you choose this option, you'll be editing your component as a standalone element. So you see, the only thing that's going to be on the screen now is my component. I will not have access to any other thing. Whereas if I come back to my front page, and this time I say I want, because I want to see, let me just, to make you really understand what I mean, let me just add a paragraph. So I'll just click that, make it in there. So you see this paragraph. So if I choose that I want to edit the component from the top left menu, that will open it as just the component I'm editing. Nothing on the page will be shown. So the page will be blank. It will give like a focused mode, so I can focus on my component. Whereas if I want to be able to see what I'm editing so that it makes it easy for me, then the next thing I'll do is, instead of coming through this option, I will go back to my front page, and this time I'll come to the component itself, right click on it, and then I'll say edit component. When I edit it, that now takes me to the component itself, but it still shows me the other things that are existing on the page. So let me now just go ahead and, instead of, should I delete it? Maybe I should delete it. I don't know. Okay, so let's just delete it. So now I've deleted the header. We're starting the header from scratch. So the way you build it is like how you build any other template. You start by creating your section, your container, and anything you want to add in there. So I'll come to the elements. This is the element inserter. It's at the top left of your screen. When I click on it, it opens the inserter where I can search for any element I want. So let's say I want to add maybe a header element, because I need, in the site header, you need the header. Let me give you a good example from, let's say, even the Kevin Gary's website. Maybe that will be easier for me to see. If I right click, inspect, you see we have this header, then we have the main, and then we have footer. So I'll start with the header component or the header element. Come to the page, add the header element. If I hold the shift key, that will insert the element, but it will not close the element inserter. If I don't hold the shift key and I just press the element I want, it will close the element inserter and open whatever element I actually added. So it will open that element and then give me the options directly for that element. So those are the two things you need to know. If you want to add multiple elements, you hold the shift key and then you click on whatever element you want to add. So let me delete this. I've already added the header, so now I've highlighted the header and I want to add maybe a wrapper or a container inside. So I'll come click the plus icon for the inserter, make sure I'm holding my shift key, and I'll say I want to add maybe a container, or in this case let me just use a div. So a div, so to add that div to whatever is highlighted. So I've added a div into my header, the header element. So in this div, still holding the shift key, I can say I want to add a link for my logo, because the idea is that we want to have a logo that is also a link. So first I will add an A tag, then I will add the SVG inside that A tag. So let's come back here. So I'll start with looking for a link. So I'll search for link, hold the shift key, click the enter. That will add an anchor link, just an A tag. Then within that link, I want to add an SVG. So I'll search for SVG, hold the shift key, and click enter. So now that has added an A tag with an SVG inside. Then I'll go back to my div, because I want this div, I want a site logo and my navigation. So for the navigation, you now add the menu builder. I'll leave a link to all of the videos, the Builderius series, so you can go ahead and watch that series and see how everything is added, like how to work with all of these elements. So you add the menu builder, and inside the menu builder, I'll add the toggle, which will be for my mobile menu toggle. Then I'll also add maybe a nav element. So for nav, let me just add a div. That div will now become my nav element, because the way Builderius is that it's basically any of these elements, you can change their HTML tag to any tag you want. Similar to how if you're using green shift, we have the green shift elements, whereby you have one element that can basically work as anything. So this one too, you have this element as a div, but that div can actually be anything you want. It can be a button, it can be a div, it can be an A tag, because it's just an element. So we have this div. Within the div, I want to add my navigation. So to add a navigation, there is not really a navigation element like with how we have with all of these other builders like Elementor, we have with Divi. You already have the nav menu widget or something like that you can just paste into the page. In this one, you basically have to build it yourself, which is why I would recommend you use the starter site that Builderius has, because that one comes with the menu. But in this case, we'll still try to build the menu from scratch. I wouldn't go too in depth into building the menu, but I'll just show you how you would naturally go with building the menu. So for that, we need a sort of loop, because a navigation menu is basically like a collection of posts, sort of. So what we need to use now is a collection element. This collection element is what we use to create any kind of loop we want. So a loop of posts, a loop of navigation elements, a loop of taxonomy terms. Some of those ones will only work in the pro version, but you can use these collection elements to create your loop. So I'll hold the shift key and click on the collection. That will now create my loop template for me. So we can start from here and we can edit as we go along. So I'll come to the first one, which is the header. I like renaming all these things so that I know what it is. So I'll come to the top. So the way the builder is structured is on the left hand side is where you have the inserter and where you have all of the properties for each element. So that's what happens on the left bar. On the right bar is your navigator, so you can navigate the actual elements on the page, the selectors, and the CSS variables. So those are the three things that are on the right hand side. Then at the top is where you can change the responsive mode. So if you want to go to the desktop, tablet, mobile, and you can actually change the values. If I click on these three dots, you can change the values of where you want your max width of your each of them. So you can change the values here. So let's cancel it. Let me close. Okay. And then you can also see what you are editing at the moment there, and you can switch quickly. It's like a quick search to change the page. And then you have the preview on the front end. You have the save button. This save is just to save it in the dev mode. Then if you want to actually publish it to the public, then you have to create what they call a release. So that means you have finished editing all of the dev mode and you want the people in the public to now see it. You now publish a release. Okay. So we have these. So let's continue from the design. So let's come back to the header. And I said I want to be able to rename all of them because right now they just named header, div, anchor. This may not be making much sense to you. So to rename them, you come to your properties at the left hand side, and I wish the double click could, it's not highlighting it as I would know. I think currently it's highlighted, but it doesn't show me that it's highlighted, and I can just start typing. But if it doesn't, I think that's one thing that they should check out. The highlight colors should reflect properly. But if I want to say this is my site header, then the div, I can just maybe delete everything and say this is the wrapper. Next, I'll say maybe I want this one to be called the site logo, and so on. So you can rename them. One thing you need to watch out for is that for the collection element, if you rename it and you change something there, sometimes it removes the names. I don't know why the names they don't stick. Sometimes they change, but that is mostly on the collection element. So now we have the wrapper. Then we have the inner container. So this is where you add maybe your padding, depending on how you like to work. Because I know some people prefer to add padding to the section. So the section element is what gives the padding. Other people prefer to add the padding into the container by using max width. So instead of doing padding on the section, they use a max width on the container. So it depends on how you want to work. So but there is no right or wrong. It's just how you can maintain the website. It's all about how you can maintain the website. It doesn't mean that one is right or one is wrong. Because if you notice, I think, let me open, if I'm not mistaken, I think Josh W. Let me switch my screen. I believe it is Josh Komoro or somebody. If you go and inspect his pages, you'd see that he doesn't add sections and put the padding on the section. He basically does everything on the container using max width. So you see a max width of 68.75 rem, and that's how he likes to style his website. So the padding and everything is on the inner container. Whereas if you're an ACSS user, most of your design will be using the padding on the outer element. So you see there's a padding on the section element. So it all depends on how you prefer to work. You can choose to use padding on the section element, or you use a max width on the inner element, and then you can. The beauty of using the max width on the inner element is that you can now add background colors into the inner elements. You can add there are some benefits and some drawbacks, so it depends on how you like to work. Okay, so yeah, so he has explained why the names change. So I understand. So the names are changing because when I get to the collection, I will show you what I mean, why the names change. Okay. So we have the site header, and then we have the inner wrapper. So let me give them some class names. So I'll say maybe the outer one is site header. Then the inner wrapper is site header inner. Okay, because I have my classes already set up, that's why everything just automatically set up. But you see, then what you can now do is once you've added these classes, so let me just keep giving all of them classes. Then for the site logo, I'll give it a class of maybe site logo. My naming conventions sometimes are very weird, so pardon me. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't make sense to some people. Then for the SVG, so now that I've had the beginning, so I've had my section basically, which is the header. Then I have the wrapper, inner wrapper. Then I have my site logo, and the logo has an SVG. So let's go back to the site logo. What happens is whenever you add any element, in order to make sure that it shows on the screen, they usually add a default text to it, like a placeholder text. So on my A tag, the reason why you see this inline link is because there's a placeholder text which I can now go ahead and delete. So I'll come under content and I'll delete that. So now it now becomes a blank screen. So for my SVG now, I can literally just come over to the page, right click, inspect it. Yeah, so no, I'm just saying I'm not saying that. Okay, yeah, I'm saying that everybody has a different way they like to work. So I generally like to use my max width on the container itself rather than using a padding on the section. But most people, most developers use a padding on the section, which is easier to work with and to like make to be responsive and everything. So I'm just saying that depending on who is building the site. So if you're using your own framework, you might choose to use something different. So that's why I showed that there's a difference between these two sites. People like Josh, they tend to use the max width on their section, so they use the max width. Whereas other people who use like Builderius or ACSS or Core Framework or some other ones, they tend to use the padding on the section. So it all depends on how you want to work. Okay, so oh, uh, the product itself. Let me just. So the product itself is actually quite good. You might just say, okay, maybe the UI might be a little need some improvements, but the product itself, I like the product, especially when you start using with it, because basically everything is there. You have access to all of the HTML. That is one thing I like about the product. Hmm. Uh, okay, so let me even just go ahead and see. Okay, it, let's attempt to. So, uh, okay, so yeah, we have all of these elements. We will try to even check the page speed out after I build like one section and see what it is. So let's say we have the logo and everything. So if you want to style it, you get access to the header. You can style the header. You have access to everything, and then we continue with the logo. So I was on the logo. If you want to add an SVG, you can just simply come to your this element. I'm just going to inspect it and copy the SVG from there. Just copy the element and just paste that SVG code, and the SVG comes in because you can add inline SVG in your section. It has some sanitization, so it will sanitize some things out of the SVG. You can add your SVG here, and then you can manipulate the SVG as you want. So if I say I want to add a class of maybe site logo SVG, And sometimes some people prefer to add like a title inside. I'm just doing a demo of what you can do. So you can do anything you want in the builder. So let's say the demo is privacy homepage. You can add a role. So let's say role equal to image and so on. So you can do all of these on the SVG. So this is how you can basically continue styling. Let me just show you how you can add the navigation if you want to add it yourself. So let me come back to this page. My screen is a bit, let me see if I can zoom out a little bit so it shows the actual. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm using the wrong element. Yeah. So, my screen is not going back to normal. Okay, yes. So now we are here. We have the menu builder. So this menu builder is actually an invisible element. It doesn't exist. It's just used to style whatever element that you have inside. So we have the menu toggle, which is a button, and then we have our element. So this is the nav. So on the div, I'll go to my HTML element, and I will search for nav because I want a nav tag. Then next, come to the collection, and this is where we want to now generate our list of items. So I'll come to my collections. Then this collection, I'll go under data source, and when you see this green icon here, this green icon is when you want to add a property on like a component property, whereas this the second item is when you want to add a dynamic tag. So because this is like the universal standard for dynamic tags in WordPress ecosystem. So when you see this dynamic stack, it means you want to add a dynamic data. So I'll click on that, and you can see immediately it shows my nav, because my nav is actually a dynamic content. So I'll choose that, and I'll choose main navigation, which I already created. Then this is what I was saying. If I try to change this name of this collection and say maybe tag, it will change. But the moment I change the HTML tag, then it will overwrite that name I put there. But they said it was intentional because one has to have priority. So when I put the URL, you may, if you want to rename it, you may want to go and rename it again, and so on. So we have our URL now. So within the URL, you need an li, and you need your, so you need li and you need a button element, so a link element. So on the URL, I'll come into my template, and in the template is where I will now start adding the content. I don't know if you've ever seen me work with dynamic shortcodes. Whenever I'm working with dynamic shortcodes, you see that I create, like if I'm creating a query, I'll put a placeholder, then I'll put a query, and I'll put a template. So this is the same thing with this one. I've created the query, which is my nav menu. Then now I'm trying to create the template. So you have the query and then the template. So that's it. So now inside the templates, we can now start adding any HTML element we want. So I'll start with an li tag. So I'll say I'm looking for a list item. Within that li, I want to add an a tag for the actual link. So I'll search for link. And so that's how we have our structure. But if you are using this, like I said, if you're using the starter template, that already comes with the navigation inside, already built properly. So this one now, you wouldn't have to go through all of this to build the template. It's only if you're starting with the minimal settings, and thankfully in the pro version, you'll be able to even save components. So you can create this component once and use it on any of your other website that you need to use it on. So now that I'm in my template, see how nice and easy it is. So I want to add let me go ahead and delete this list item first. You already notice that it's already pulling in data. So it's already pulling in 6 or 5 elements, which are all of my navigation links. So that means the query is already working. All I just have to do now is populate with the right content. So let me go to my anchor link. I'll clear what is there. And now when you choose this dynamic stack element, you can now see everything that is connected to that loop item. That's why they put a very big heading there, loop item. Everything that is connected to the loop item is there, so you can check the loop item index. If you want to use the, let's say you have a repeater field and you want to use the index number for something, you can use the loop item index. You can use, these are the different dynamic fields that you can get there. So we have the different ones that we can pull from the data. So we can pull in something like the title, and immediately we get the title of all our links in the navigation menu. So we have the pricing and plans. All of these links are actually from the navigation. So let me go ahead and show you where the navigation is. So I'll go to my dashboard and I'll go under my appearance menus, and you can see these are the navigation links that I put from the classic navigation editor. So that is the title. If you want to get the actual link, if I'm on the anchor now, the actual link is in the URL portion. You also add another dynamic data tag there, and I just choose the URL, and that will immediately populate them with the correct links. Next thing, I want to add those classes that come with the menus. So when you have any menu, I think, let me see if he's using a regular menu. Yeah, you see all these classes like menu item, type, post type, all of these classes, they're automatically added by WordPress. So if you want to add those classes, I can come to my LI and I'll go to attributes, new attributes, and I'll say I want to add some classes, and the classes are my classes. Then if I want to add, I believe the ID, the object ID, this menu item 16 something something, I think that is the object ID if I'm not mistaken. So you can do new attributes ID menu dash item dash, and then you put the object ID, and yeah, that's it. So if I save this and go to the front end and I would inspect, you see we get our menu. So we have the menu item 21, and where's my class? Oh, I didn't set it up well. Okay, let me make sure I put the classes properly. So under the LI, what happened? Why is the classes not showing? The classes are supposed to show. I don't know. Let me refresh. Inspect. I guess I did something wrong because the classes are not, they were showing the first time I did it. I don't know why they're not showing now. But yeah, you can see the ID showed up. So basically that's how you add all of these. Let me just delete it and try again. Okay. So we have, let me add new attributes, and I'll say maybe class, and try again. Classes. Let me save it. Refresh. Oh yeah, I guess I broke it because when I tried it just this morning, it worked. So now I don't know what I did. But basically that's how you add it. And like I said, with the limitation now is that you have to style all of this in yourself. So you have to remove you have to use because I'm using the minimal CSS. So there's no CSS applied anywhere. So I have to use my own CSS classes and start styling all of these links to look like actual links, like display list style none, and then I put the display flex and everything. So you have to do everything yourself. So That's just the difference between using your minimal templates. So you have to watch out for that. That with the minimal templates, you have more work to do, but you have more control over all of the classes and everything. Whereas with the starter templates, they give you minimal addition and then everything just works. Oh, but okay. Let me try that. So it says the last time I tried it, it just worked directly. So that's why I thought it just works. So let's do that. Don't know why they broke this time. Okay, so I'll say let's try with this. Let's see if that works. I hope I wrote it correctly. Save. And let me go back and refresh. Let's go and inspect it. No, it's still not working. I think I will have to look at what happened. I don't know what I did. Yeah, because just this morning when I tried it, it showed me all my classes, and I don't know what I did. So yeah, that is so basically we continue with the elements, and that's how you keep styling them. Then you can now start adding your CSS. So let's say I want to now add. Let me just do a little bit of styling on the wrap. Let me. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's what I did. Let's see. Let's go back and try. Start this one and classes. Okay, so save. And let me try again. And I'm pretty sure I broke something. It's still. It is. Okay, so I have. Let's see. Join. Yes. Oh, without curly braces. Oh yeah, that's why I've been breaking it because I'm using curly braces for. I think it's supposed to be straight. Let's do that. In fact, let me just inspect it from here and see if it works. Oh, does that work? ULLI. The ID shows the class is still running away from me. Refresh it on the front end. The classes are still somehow. Oh, sorry. Thank you. It is still for some reason it's still not working as I expected because I tried it. So this is. Let me zoom in so that everybody can see as much as possible. So that's I did the join classes, comma, all of that, and it still did not. Let me just add another class there and see. Because this morning I even added with double classes and. So maybe I'm just doing something wrong. That's all. I'm just going to I will have to test it out again. Then yeah, that is. But instead of doing all of this and stressing everybody out, I'm just going to use my own release. So if you want, once you've done all of these, you can come back to your releases and create a new release. Let me just create it so that this will be like a backup, and I'll go and test out the one I already had. Because oh no, so the classes I added, I didn't actually add a class. I just used the classes from. Let me go to what do I have on the front end before I continue. Let's see, inspect, and let's see if that works. Okay, so Site nav. Okay, so the classes have somehow disappeared. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I guess. Oh, yeah. I guess what happened. So yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. So how do I get the other classes? I thought I got the other classes before. The classes that come with the menu. Because I remember the last time I tried, I got those default classes that came with the menu. Those menu item, I don't know, current menu. How do I get that? Because now it's not showing me any of those current, when the menu is the current page. Let's go to, because previously when I do that, I can just get like, this is the default WordPress menu. That this is not Builderius, but you can get the default menu, current menu item, and all of that. Those classes usually should come when I use those classes, I think. Well, maybe I'm making some mistake. I thought that, I guess I was sleepwalking when I thought I saw the classes, but I didn't actually see them. Well, yeah, thank you for pointing out. It's me that is making the mistake. That I don't have any classes connected to my menus. That's why nothing was showing, even with all I didn't need to use that join. Okay, so let me try with uh let me just add the home to my appearance. Now I'm now sidetracking for everybody. So sorry, everybody who came to see a straightforward demo. Now I'm going on a tangent. But let me add this and save it. Let that menu come in. Okay, then I will go ahead and just create a release. So let me go to Builderius, or let me just preview this on the front end. Refresh. Let's see the home page. Does it come with the class? It still didn't give me the class that I needed. If I let me cut that out and just try that again. Because it's okay. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I didn't really need to put that. I didn't need to put that join because it outputs the current menu item for me. So let me try with adding classes to it. So you are right. Yeah. So it was I was one making mistakes. Let's say I want to add a class to my menu. So I'll come to my screen options, add some classes, and I would just say testing, save it, and then go back to the front end, refresh. And you said I should use, yeah, so yeah, it was my fault. We don't even need to use any join, it works. So that's the testing class and the current menu item class. Just by using classes, it should work on its own. So I was the one who made the mistake. I thought I saw the current menu item class and I thought it populated the other classes, the default menu classes. So yeah, it was my mistake. So sorry everybody for just basically wasting everybody's time. But at least we're all learning as we go along. So in the case that I want to get those classes that come with the WordPress menu, is there any magic I can use? So like all the regular classes that come menu item type, post type, all of these classes. Is there any kind of thing I can use to get those classes? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Toby. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vitali. Thank you, Elvis, for pointing everything out for me. So yeah, that is it. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. You just. I was the one breaking things. So okay, let's see. So we have all of that. So let me, instead of wasting people's time with the styling of this, let me just go back to my other release. So let's first save this as a release now. So I'll come under Builderius and then releases. And let me go ahead and create a release, and I'll say maybe this is 1.03 and say live test. Okay, then I'll create that. So now anytime I want, I can always go back to that release of my live test, and if I want to come back and edit this release again, I think I can just extract the release. Yes. So okay, let me just extract it and say I want to work on this release. Yep. Now I can come back to my pages and see, let's see if it's working. Let's refresh this page, refresh, and I go back to the first design that I was working with. And so that's how you can easily switch between all of them. So in the dev mode, you just have to extract the template and you go and start working on that template. Then when you're done, you create a release. You can now delete all of your older releases if you don't need them anymore. So yeah, let me close all of these. So now that I've added this new release, I think let's see, does it go to the menus? And let me see the home. Okay, so it's still there. Okay. Yeah. So we've had the page. This is the page. I've just only styled the link. That's all I did. Just added some styling. I've not done anything on the main page. The main page is still blank. So I can come and continue editing this page. This is the home page. Because it's the home page automatic. Once I put the front page to be the home page under appearance, under settings, and then reading, I have already set up the home page to be the home and post page to be post. That's why when I just go ahead to edit the home page, it automatically takes me to the front page template. That's how it works. Yeah, I broke it, but yeah, we can continue from here. So now we have our site header, we have the main. We don't really actually have a footer because the template is blank. If you go to the front end, like I said, the components, if they don't have anything inside, then they are blank. So that's why you see, if I go to the front end and I inspect, you see we have the header, we have the main tag, but we don't actually have a footer because the footer component is not created yet. Okay, so we have the header, the main, the site footer. So if I want, I can now go to the site footer and start editing that component as well and do whatever I want. But let's just say, let me just try and create a simple, this hero section. So let's just add a simple text. And so in the main content area now, the first thing I want to do is, because that's where you might make a mistake and think that this is a section that you want to start editing. Basically, this is the main content area. I just made it. You can edit it if you want, but usually we now add elements into this main content area. So what we do is, you now go to your elements and you want to add a new element, and I'll just add maybe a section. So we have the main, the section, and then the div that comes with the container. Because I was using the minimal setup, I've already styled this container the way I want. But if you are building it by default, the container doesn't have any class, any styling. If you're using the minimal setup, if you're using the regular setup, the container will have default styling, the section will have a default styling, and so on and so forth. Okay, so while we're here, I have my section. Then we want to add this heading into the container, into the wrapper container. So I have the wrapper currently highlighted. I'll go to the elements inserter and I'll say I want the heading. So heading. I like using this search. One thing I would like I posted in the feature requests, is a shortcut key to just switch to this inserter search, because I like searching. Because of how my eyes work, sometimes I miss elements, so I like to always use the search to quickly get the element I want and then just click on the element. If I use the search, I can just press the tab key. It gets to the heading. Press the shift and the enter key. That will add the element into the page. Press the shift tab to go back to the search and continue from there if you want to use the keyboard only. So that's one nice thing about the Builderius. I think for now most of the things are keyboard accessible. So you can just quickly use without a mouse. You can operate most of the things on the page. The only thing that the hotkeys are not working, like Control S, and some other shortcuts are not working currently, at least at this. But okay, so yeah, so they will hopefully bring the shortcut keys soon. Then okay, we have the heading. The next thing we want is a button. So let me search for a button and add that. Unfortunately, because I'm using a minimal setup, I haven't added any styling for buttons. But if you're using the standard setup, the button will already have a styling, and you can just, it will take the primary color and things like that. But now you may have to do it ourselves. So I'll come to my heading. Let me now add the content. So I'll come back to the page. Just copy this and paste it there. Okay, and I'll choose my heading level, because one nice thing about Builderius is the way it is structured. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, yours is Divi. Okay. Yeah, everybody has a builder that that works best for them. Some people is green shift, because I remember during one of the build sessions, somebody showed that they could build one design. Let me see if I can pull up the design. I don't know if anybody has gone through that the contest yet. I think it's called Dream Host. How many people have attempted this design? This was a design that we had as a contest in the Bridge Builders live stream, and different people use their different builders to build this template. I think Bob, the web builder, he did it in about 5 minutes using GreenShift, because GreenShift had a drag and drop grid builder. So if you've attempted it, you can send me an email or send an email to the organizers. I'll leave a link in the description somewhere, so you can go ahead and send them an email, and we will see who was able to create this demo in the most responsive way. But yeah, so we have this security, privacy and security built into your payments, and we have our button. The one nice thing about using Builderius is that since there's no what's the word, whereby there's no opinion, it's not opinionated. So I can now come to my section, because there's no style applied to any of these things, only the style I've applied. I can come to my section. I can just give it a name, maybe hero. No, sorry, this is the HTML. Go to the CSS and give it a name of, let's say, hero. And I'll just go to typography and say I want it to be centered. And it will center everything, because I've not added any builder, because sometimes the builders will add some high specificity CSS to each of the elements, such that you cannot overwrite those elements on a global level. You have to now start going to each of them individually to overwrite them. But because the builder is not opinionated, I can overwrite things easily. And that's one nice thing I like about most of these modern builders. So I've added that. What else do I need to add? Okay, the button. Let's say on my button anchor tag, like what I said with all of the elements, that every element you can change their HTML tag to anything you want, any of the allowed elements. And if you have the pro version, you can also add custom elements according to Elvis. So yeah, so let's say I want this to, instead of being an anchor tag, I want it to actually be a button. I can quickly change it to a button, and it will behave as a button. If I want it to be a div, I can change it to a div. So I'm not restricted. Even though I added a button element, I'm not restricted to only using it as a button or as a link or as an anchor tag. I can change the HTML tag to anything else, I can add content as a child element of it. So nothing is fixed. Everything is acting as a wrapper that you can do whatever you want with it. So I can add content into it as child elements. I can add any kind of thing I want onto the button, and then it will operate as that. So let me just go back to an A tag. Where is it? Let me just say link. Is it link or A tag? A. Or I broke it. I think I just broke it. Where's the A? Okay, yes, A. Okay, so we have that. Oh, oh yeah. Well, hopefully somebody can do that. Not hopefully Toby will be able to do a live stream. Toby, that's your challenge, to do a live stream with the with that design. Let me go ahead and show you the design again. I know Toby will be able to do it easily. So this design, basically, from what I can see here, is if I was going to attempt it, my own method of attempting this design will be that we have kind of almost a 2-column grid. So the image grid is kind of larger, I believe. Let me see. Let's try and zoom out a little bit. Okay, so let me see. Okay, yeah, so basically I think the way I will attempt it, I'll attempt it as a grid. we believe in you, Toby. You can do it. You can do your live stream. But yeah, what I was saying is the way I will attempt this design is, this is a heading, this is a paragraph. I'll put that into a container. Then these two images, I'll put them into another container. And what I'll do is, I don't know, maybe I can try it. Let's try it out and see. yeah, yeah, I can do that. But let's see. Let me see how well I can go. So that will be the last thing I do today before we head out. So let's say I'll add a section, and in that section I would add a container. Okay, maybe, and then within the container I'll add 2 divs. So this will be for my content wrapper, my image wrapper. Let's go ahead and let me just close all of these other ones. I can actually just lazily copy everything. Just inspect, copy, and paste it there, and then that job done, I think. Well, let's just try it though. So let's say I copy this. I'll say maybe it's the H2. Where were we? Okay, on this, I'll call it the content wrapper, just so I can differentiate them. And I'll add the heading. If you all have any suggestions, please suggest, because this one I'm going in blind, because I did it once, but I didn't actually go far. I just assumed, so I might be doing something wrong. So let's just go ahead and drop in all the content first. So this is the first content, and the second content is this element. So we just drop that in as the paragraph. So we have these 2 paragraphs. Then the other one will be, so the second div will be my maybe media wrapper. Okay, and in there I will add 2 image elements. So image, oh, my typing skills have gone down. So 2 image elements. The first image is, can I just copy the URL? Let's see. Okay, copy the URL. Come back to my first image. I'll just drop the URL there. That's the first image. The second image, go back, because I can't be bothered to download anybody's image. So inspect, copy the image, and I'll paste it in the URL portion of the media. Okay, so we have these 2. So we have the content, and then we have the media. with the two images. So the way I would approach it is, I will approach it as a three column grid, sort of, because we'll have one grid that basically overlaps the two. This will be one grid, then one that overlaps the two, and then another grid. So let's see if that works for me. Hopefully it works. Because we're using grid, there's no interface for grid currently, so I'll have to use the attributes. So I'll come under the wrapper div. Let me just name it a wrapper. Wrapper. Okay, on that wrapper, I'll give it a class of maybe dream inner, or I can just use the root. Anyone should work. Oh, I don't know why my brain just keeps going to this HTML. I'm so used to breaks, whereby whenever you see at the top, that is always the classes. But I should always remember that there's content and then there's styles. So under the styles, that's where you get the classes. And then I put that. Or I can use the root if I want. Then let me get rid of the container. Or should I leave it? Okay, no. Did I just get... Let's see. Yeah, let me get rid of the container because I'll just style everything from scratch. Okay. Yeah, yes, that's what I meant. I meant advanced styles. I was trying to say styles and I said attributes. So under the styles, under advanced, then I'll have to add all my styles from here. So I would say something like display grid. Then I would say grid template columns. And I'll use something like let's see, let me give a guess. I'll say something like one. Let's look at it again. So I'll say this is maybe, let me just say min max 100%. I'm going to be using some weird calculations here, so just to see if it works for me. Then 4 characters and then 1 FR. We'll see if it works. So okay, yeah. Then let's say this one is 0, 1 FR. I could have just used the... Okay. And why is it breaking? Okay, no, sorry, not 100%. Let's say, yeah, min. Okay, so just forget everything I'm doing now. just believe that it's working. Then let me say sizing. I would say something like what was the default size on this website? Can't remember. Let me just use... No, the size will be 100%, and I'll say wrapper width, and I should have not removed the container class. I don't know why I did that. So margins should be auto on the left and right. Okay, so we have all of these. Still, just ignore what you're seeing there for now. So for the other one, I'll say, so for the first one, I'll say it takes up 2 columns. So under styles, advanced, CSS property, I'll say grid column should be 1 span 2. Okay. Then the other one, I'm just going to be styling on the root because it's easier. The other one, I'll say grid column should be 2 span 2, and grid row should be 1. I guess. Same thing with the first one. Grid row should be 1. Grid row. Okay, so we're getting there somewhere. So I can now add the same spacing I added for the first one. Now add it as a padding on my paragraph, which is usually I'll use CSS variables, but I'm just going by ear right now. So let's see, size, spacing. The right padding should be, I believe I called it 4 characters. I should really use I should use the good best practices, but I'm too lazy. Calc times 2. Just do it like that. Okay. So now we have this 2 sort of setup. Then we can now put the images. One will be top, the other one will be bottom right. So I'll just say maybe I can use another grid there. So let's save this. Okay. And the media wrapper, let's just make that a grid as well. And I'll do another trickery. So I'll say make that a grid. Advanced tab, say display, grid. And I'll say grid template columns should be, because I don't want to, ideally what many people will use is like absolutely positioned images. I think that will just work easily. But let me say I would use both of them will take up the same column and 1 FR. Then the other one, so each of them will take that 1 FR, but they will now take the grid template rows. Please, if you have a better way of attempting it before I finish, we'll see. So let's say that will now be, I think, what's the best way to do this? I'll say 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR, some padding, 1 FR, and then another gap. Okay. I should use CSS variables. I'll keep saying that, but I'm still too lazy. So I'll say 1 FR, say maybe 4 EM, 1 FR, and then 8 rem. Okay. So now for all of my images, I can now start arranging them. So the first image will take the property of, what is it? Was I styling the wrong thing? Oh no. I just literally added styles to the wrong thing. Oh, no wonder it wasn't working. I was wondering why nothing was showing. I was adding styles to the image instead of the media wrapper. And that was why I actually named them so I can easily see what I was writing on. But knowing me, so 1 FR and grid template rows should be 1 FR, maybe 4, 2 rem, 1 FR, and 4 rem. Oh, yeah. Okay. And okay, now we can start styling them. So for the first image, I'll say the sizing, the width should be let's say 40%. Or maybe I should make that the max width. Should be like 60%. And then the justify self will be end. So say advanced justify self should be end. That takes me to the end. The other one, image, I'll do the same thing. Say maybe this one will be the width should be like 80%. Okay, or like, oh no, 100%. Then and now we'll start playing around with the grid templates. Or you can use, I could have used grid template columns as well to just style, make them give them nice spaces. But let me just do it this way. So say this is 80%. And then we now make them to overlap using the grid. So on the grid, the first one will take the first 2 rows. So I'll say grid row should be 1 span 2. The second one, grid row should be 2 span 2. And then grid, that's the, what did I just do? 1 span 2 and 2 span 2, okay. What did I do? Then the grid column should just be 1. Grid column start should be 1 for both of them. Grid okay, so we are almost there, I think. What did I do wrong? I think instead of 1FR, I can do... Okay, so yeah, in case of anybody is listening, you can... this is the beta, this is the free version, number 1, and it's the beta version. So many things, you'll have to do them manually. But if you're getting like the pro version and you're getting other ones, you'll be able to do it easily. And then there will also be pre-built sections, pre-built. What did I... Let me see. What did I do that I was supposed to do better? Because I remember when I did it the other time, I didn't use this method, but I thought this method would work this time. So we have the grid. Okay, because I used the image as 80%, that's why it is... maybe I should do auto, and then this will now take overlap. Okay, so instead of 1FR, I'll just do auto for the media wrapper. Say the template rows. I know I'm just doing some... This is not the best solution, but let's see. Auto and 1FR. Okay, so yeah, basically the images now will overlap. So we have these. Let's see. I think we get our overlap. Usually you should use like CSS variables. Then all these numbers, instead of using magic numbers, you'll now be able to like use that same number or that variable as the styling for all of them, so they can now overlap. So that's one thing I should have done, but I'm just trying to be, if I was in a speed build, this is how I would just do it to make it work. And this one, instead of the width being 180%, let's just say it is calc 100% minus something. So sizing, I'll say calc 100% minus maybe 4 rem, just guessing, or 2 rem. Okay, save, and that should be something. And then you can add border radius to all of them. And oh yeah, thank you. Is anybody giving me... I'm hearing... I can hear kitchen recipe. Please, if anybody has food, I like eating food, so please let me know. You can invite me to your house, come and eat. I will be there. So yeah, I think the only other thing that we have with the images, I should have given them classes so that I can just style them at the same time with the border radius. In fact, I think I have some CSS, what's it called? Some utility classes. Yes, I think I do. One nice thing that will have happened is with the way we have with like core framework and ACSS, that if we hover over it, it basically applies the style on the canvas. That would be very nice. I don't know if that can... how easy that would be. But now, if I add that class, or radius, that's it. Save. Then we can just make it like... yeah. So that's It's sort of similar. Then probably what I'll just do is that on something like when it gets too small, I'll just make it the image to go to the bottom. But basically, this is sort of how I would have approached it. Sorry, this is covering the entire screen. So, but maybe at maybe like the tablet mode or something, I'll now make the images to basically go to the bottom or the top of the hosting and everything. And I think this works. Yeah, I think this should work. But yeah, well, let me publish it to the front end so people can see it and tell me what they think. But first, let me go to this maybe tablet mode, and I would say I want everything should just become a flex, I believe, or yes, it's easier. Just say everything should just turn to a display of flex, right? Wrong element. It's on the on the wrapper, flex, and then flex direction. Where is? Oh, there is no flex direction. Am I missing the controls for flex direction? Flex direction column. Okay, and yeah, I guess it works sort of. Maybe I would have reduced the sizing of the content wrapper. Maybe I'll do that. Put the content wrapper, maybe make it centered. So I'll come to the typography. Where's typography? And I'll make it centered. And I'll put a gap on the wrapper. That's just because I like I said, I find it difficult finding styles everywhere. So I like to use searches, or I'll just go straight to the advanced. So I'll say I want to put a gap of maybe content gap. Is that what I call it? Yeah, something like that. Save it. And yeah, so I guess people can give me a verdict on the front end. Let me go ahead and create a release and publish it to the front end. So I'll come to, from the builder, you just go to the menu and you go to releases. Then I can create a new release and say this is dream something. Dream, no, that's 1.1. The tag is complete. And this is the dream host website. Let's create template, create everything. And that is the 1.1, yeah. Then I publish it. And that should be shown on the front end now, I believe. Let's see, open up a, where is the incognito mode? Is it, let me just open a new one. Open it on the wrong page. New one, paste, and okay, so quick speed test. So this is the page. You all can, this is on the front. This is available to everybody, so you can do it. Let's say page speed insights. Let's see what it comes up with. Activate all, page speed insights, paste. Let's hope for the best. Let's see the page speed. Hopefully it doesn't add all of my extra, because I think I did add some extra. Yeah, basically 98% performance. So yeah, he asked for the page speed, and this is the page speed. We get 98% performance. Let me see what is the, what was missing. In fact, everything. But that's because I just have only literally just the, there's nothing much on the page, so not much to do. But yeah, we get a, yeah, exactly. And everything loaded immediately, so yeah. So if anybody has any other questions, any contributions, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's how I would have attempted that design. I don't know how ever, I'm waiting for the, if you're, how you would attempt it, please let me know. You can drop me an email and we'll like publish everybody's own design at the end of the month. Everybody, the way they attempted it, will all show off together and see how everybody's attempt was. Okay. Yeah. So that's it. So I'll just give it a minute to check if anybody has any questions, any contributions. But that is basically how the Builderius works. So I'll just do a quick recap while I wait for questions, and we'll go from there. So basically, the way you start with your web design is first you will install your plugins, so your Builderius plugin. Then, okay, so download link for the free version is on the. Let me quickly switch over. Can I show my face? Okay, let me see if I can stay in the center. So for Builderius, the free version is directly on the repository. So go to plugins, add new plugin, and you just search for Builderius, and you get the free version. If you want to see their website, you can go to Builderius. I'll put the link there now, .com/beta. And let me put that in the chat. So try. So Builderius, if you want to support them and purchase the pro version, you are welcome to do so as well. Although the pro version is not out yet, so it'll be a while before the pro version is released. But yeah, that is it. So if any other questions, so this is the design we're trying to build. So basically what you'll have done is you'll now added maybe a negative margin, something like that, so that the same height you put for the extra image, you put that as the negative margin so that it pulls the other one up or something like that. So it all depends on how you want to design it. But let me know how you will all attempt it. Whether you're using grain shift, you're using Elementor, you're using grade, you're using oxygen, breakdance, anyone. Just let me. You can send your different links. You can go to my email. It should be in the profile of my YouTube link, and then you can send me an email. And yeah, so like I said, a quick recap is we have the Builderius. When you install it, you come over to this welcome screen under the home, and it tells you everything in a nutshell. You can have the standard setup, which gives you all of the settings, and you have the minimal setup, which gives you just minimal settings. Yeah. Yeah, everybody has a different method. Because in fact, this was not the method I used the first time I attempted this. I'm just using a different method now. So there are so many different methods you can use to attempt that design. But yeah, so like I said, quick recap: when you install Builderius, it comes blank. It doesn't actually overwrite anything. It's going to be blank. Then you go over to your home under the Builderius. You choose either you want the minimal setup or the standard setup. Standard setup gives you like everything. So it gives you the different templates already created with some default CSS framework and other things like that, and a style guide. Whereas the minimal setups adds nothing. So it's like you didn't do anything. Nothing will be added. Then the next thing you need to do is, once you've chosen the setup you want, you can now go ahead and edit the templates. So you go under templates and you go ahead and edit them, or you create a new template. Currently, for the free version, you can only create them. You cannot create hook templates, because hook templates will be able to hook into your theme. So let's say the theme gives you some hooks. You cannot use this hook template to just hook into a part of the theme and add some content there. So this is going to be a very powerful tool. Then the other thing you need to remember is, with other builders like Bricks, Elementor, Breakdance, and all the rest of them, they classify everything as a template. So they classify the header, the main content area, like the single page content area, the footer, as templates. Whereas in Builderius, they choose to say no, that's not how they define templates. their own definition of template is the entire page is a template. So within that template, you now have components. So you can have the header component, you have the footer component, you can have some section components if you are in the pro version, and so on and so forth. Whereas with something like Elementor, they will say header template, footer template, the single page template, and all of that. So Builderius chooses that no, those are components, and there are actually some superpowers with the components which I didn't show because they are actual real components. That means you can add properties to them which will change depending on which page you're on. I didn't show that, but yeah. Okay, so for the pro version, you don't really need to wait. You can purchase it now, and basically that's like supporting them before they release the pro version. But I think the pro version should be released before the end of the in a couple of months, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But so with the pro version, the pro version will give you some extra things like you add hook templates. You'll be able to add your own CSS framework. You'll be able to, because in this one they helped me to add my CSS framework into it. You would have had to add it manually if you were doing it yourself in the free version. But maybe when you have like ACSS and all of those ones, you'll be able to hook into whatever hooks they give you, and then you add your own template. Or in the pro version, they'll give you a canvas where you can just copy your CSS and paste it in there, and it will automatically enter. So that'll be in the pro version. Then what else? Let me switch over. So we have our templates. Like I said, each of those ones, the header, the main, the footer, they're all components, and you have access to everything. So let me open it in Builderius. So everything here, the header, like I mentioned, that it's a component. You can see you can add properties to the header so that for each page, the header will have something different, like maybe a different class name or a different image or a different text or something like that. You can basically add properties to the container that is under the properties. You see there are no properties set up. You can go ahead and edit the component. I think, how do I do it again? Edit. Let me edit it. And you'll be able to add some new properties to the template. So you can say you want maybe extra details or extra. So the label will be extras, and maybe the default value will be like placeholder. You can now use this property anywhere inside of the component to add. So for on a page by page basis. So that is something that is unique to, or not unique to Builderius, but at least Builderius has made it easy to use components. I remember with Quickly, when it was still alive, or like when Quickly was still powerful, people were using the components in Quickly. Bricks also just released their own components in, I think, version 1.9. I can't remember the number, or 1.11 or something like that. They released components, and the components are quite powerful. So yeah, that is it. So thank you all for joining in today. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, you can drop me the question later, and I will try to look into it. And that's it for now. So bye.